All right, let's be real. On the surface, being an influencer looks like the ultimate dream: free stuff, luxury trips, thousands of fans hanging on your every post. But here's the thing: underneath all that glitz and glam, there's a hidden epidemic happening: influencer burnout. And it's becoming a real mental health crisis. More and more influencers are disappearing, stepping back, or just flat out quitting. What's going on? Let's dive in and take a look behind the scenes, the real cost of social media fame. So, how did we get here? Well, let's rewind to the mid-2000s. This is when YouTube was starting to blow up. Remember when it launched in 2005 and Instagram came on the scene in 2010. Back then, influencers weren't celebrities. They were just regular people sharing what they loved, whether that was makeup tutorials, travel vlogs, or fitness routine. Their content wasn't all glossy and perfect. It felt real, and that's exactly why people loved them. But soon, brands caught on. These creators had trust, and trust sells. This was the start of influencer marketing, a whole new world where everyday people were becoming mini celebrities. Fast forward to today, and influencer marketing is a $21 billion industry. That's a lot of pressure for people who started out just sharing their hobbies. Here's where things get tricky. Once you become famous online, the game changes. It's not just about creating content. You've got fans expecting updates 24/7, brands wanting more sponsored posts, and algorithms punish you if you don't stay active. It's a lot to keep up with. Miss a few days of posting, watch those followers drop. And with fewer followers come fewer brand deals. And, well, you can see where this is going. It's a vicious cycle: constant creation, non-stop engagement, all while living under the microscope of millions of people judging your every move. It's no wonder that even the biggest names in the game need a break. Remember when PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber on the planet, took a month off in 2020 because he was burned out? Or when Elle Mills, another YouTube sensation, posted a tearful video explaining how the pressure to constantly produce viral content had pushed her to a breaking point. These are the people at the top, and even they couldn't handle the relentless pressure. If you need more proof, the numbers don't lie. According to a study by Clear, nearly 62% of influencers admit they've felt burned out. And it's worse for those at the top. For influencers with over 500,000 followers, that number jumps to a whopping 83%. And it's not just about feeling tired. The American Psychological Association has found that influencers are more prone to anxiety and depression than other social media users. The constant need to stay relevant, maintain an image, and engage with massive audiences. Honestly, it can be crushing. Burnout isn't just about feeling uninspired or needing a break. When it hits influencers, it often turns into something much bigger: a full-blown mental health crisis. Take Zoella, one of YouTube's OG beauty vloggers. She's been open about how fame gave her crippling anxiety. And then there's Jenna Marbles, who completely quit YouTube to take care of her mental health. And the scariest part? For influencers, their whole identity is wrapped up in their content. When they burn out, it's like they lose a part of them. They're terrified of fading away, of being replaced by the next shiny new influencer. It's not just a break from work, it's an existential crisis. Remember Elle Mills, known for her wild, over-the-top videos? She skyrocketed in no time. But in 2018, she broke down on camera, admitting she wasn't sleeping, wasn't taking care of herself, and felt totally disconnected from her audience. The pressure to stay viral literally pushed her to the edge. Now, let's talk psychology. Ever heard of Pavlov? He's the guy who made dogs salivate by ringing a bell. Weird example, but it's actually super relevant to influencers. Social media works kind of the same way. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok are designed to keep both influencers and their audiences hooked. The more likes, comments, and shares you get, the more dopamine your brain releases. It's like a drug, but the second those numbers start to drop, panic. Influencers feel like they have to work harder to get those numbers back up. And often that backfires. The content feels forced, audiences lose interest, and the burnout cycle just gets worse. Experts have started digging into this issue. Dr. John Grohol, a clinical psychologist who studies online behavior, says that influencers are experiencing something called emotional labor burnout. Basically, influencers always have to be on, constantly engaging with their audience, pretending everything is perfect. Dr. Grohol warns that unless influencers start setting boundaries, taking breaks and seriously disconnecting from social media, they're at risk for serious mental health problems. And it's not just about mental exhaustion. It can lead to anxiety, depression, and even more severe issues. Then there's Lauren Jacobs, a social media researcher, who says the algorithms aren't helping. Sure, they reward engagement, but they also punish inconsistency. If an influencer takes a break, their numbers can tank when they come back. It's a catch-22. You burn out if you keep going, but if you stop, you risk your career. So, where do we go from here? Well, some influencers are starting to realize that this whole system is unsustainable. We're seeing a shift towards quality over quantity. More influencers are being open about their struggles and taking time off when they need it. Emma Chamberlain is a great example of this. She's one of the biggest influencers out there, but she doesn't hide her mental health battles. She takes breaks when she needs them, and her fans love her for being real about it. She's part of this new wave of influencers who put their mental health first. Some influencers are also diversifying, getting into other business ventures so they don't have to rely on likes and views. Look at Rihanna with Fenty Beauty, or Mr. Beast with his burger chain and chocolate bars. They're smart enough to know that putting all your eggs in the social media basket isn't sustainable in the long run. But here's the thing. Influencer burnout is just a symptom of a much bigger issue. We live in a world that worships hustle, where taking breaks is seen as weakness and success is measured by how many followers you have or how much money you're making. Influencers are the most visible victims of it, but it's something we all deal with. We're all part of this cycle, constantly chasing likes, views, and validation. The question is, how do we break free? So next time you're scrolling through your feed and wishing you had an influencer's life, just remember, you're only seeing the highlight reel. Behind the scenes, a lot of them are struggling, trapped in a system that rewards them for burning out. Influencer burnout is real, and it's time we start talking about the darker side of fame. And remember, there's more to life than followers.